Sometimes people are in the best environment. They're brought up in the masjid. They're around people that remember Allah all the time. The best environment. Everybody around them is good. And you assume that if a person is in a very good environment, their upbringing is going to be good. Then they're going to turn out okay. And on the other hand, if somebody's brought up in a very bad environment, then they're going to turn out bad. But think about that. When Allah decided that Ibrahim alayhi salam is going to be guided, he was in the worst possible environment. Nobody believed. Everybody around him was doing shirk. All he saw around him was idols. When the young people of the cave decided to turn to Allah, they're not even prophets. They're not even prophets. There's no good environment around them. They're young, they're wealthy, they can do whatever they want with their life, and yet Allah turned their heart. And they turned. Meaning, your environment doesn't decide whether or not you're going to turn out okay. That's not what decides it. On the other hand, you have the city of Medina. How many people would wish, if Allah gave us the opportunity to live in Medina at the same time as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, any believer would take it, yeah, I'd love to be there. Yeah, I'll give up anything to be there. In the company of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the city of Medina. And yet you have some of the worst hypocrites that have ever lived, living in the city of Medina, in close proximity to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Are they not in the best environment? They are. They're actually praying in the first row behind the Prophet ﷺ, some of the leaders of the munafiqeen. The environment doesn't decide whether or not you're going to be a good person or a bad person. That's not going to decide. When Allah decides to guide you, then none of the misguiding factors have any effect. When Allah decides that if you walk away from Allah's guidance, you could be in the best environment, it won't make any change. So we start assuming that maybe we can control our children's behavior or anybody's behavior if we change their environment completely. I want to give them a different kind of environment. I want to give them a more suitable environment. The best environment is actually a supportive environment from a person. It's not society, it's not the street, it's not the school, it's not the outside world. It's the world inside the family. That's actually the ultimate influence. Think about this. You have this child, Yusuf alayhi salam. Just a kid. Tells his dad a dream. He just saw a dream. And his dad tells him not to tell his brothers, and, encourages him and reminds him of Allah. What we learn as a hint from the Qur'an is from an early age, his father actually gave him some good lessons in life. How to remember Allah. How to keep conscious of Allah in your life as a child. And clearly his family is not a good family situation. His brothers are no good. We learned that early on. So it's not like he's in a very healthy family environment. And soon after that, he's kidnapped. He's taken away. He's now a servant in a non-believing society, which means there's no believing influence left. Later on in his life, he's in jail. Obviously, jail's not a good environment. So most of his early life, he spent in a bad environment. Most of his early life was in a terrible environment. Yet that did not control his guidance. That did not dictate what kind of person he's going to be. But good influence, good reminder from his father had an effect. Our job is to remind each other lovingly. Our job is not to control. Our job is not to get anxious and frustrated with those that we love when they don't behave the way we want them to behave. This is actually not the way of the Prophets ﷺ.